Journalism itself has been in free fall ever since the internet. And I lived through all that because, I started as a newspaper reporter in Central America in the 80s. So I have watched it all. The first hit was classified ads. People could go on Craigslist and so that's like almost half of your income gone. And then as algorithms target you, they don't really need the press or newsprint in particular, or even an internet site to connect readers with sellers. They can do that directly. So yeah, we have to. Barbara Ehrenreich has quite correctly said journalists have to go back to the era when they were all members of the working and even lower working class. What's a sustainable model? Well, we sustained Truthdig for 16 years, but then when the rich person and to her credit, she did give significant sums of money. We had $1 million budget every year, but as soon as all her friends in Santa Monica and everywhere else stopped or started disapproving of Scheer in particular, who wasn't buying the Russiagate stuff and has relentlessly hammered the corruption of the Democratic Party, and he loathes the Clintons as he should, and then that was it. It was over. So I don't know what a sustainable model is. I haven't figured out. RT's good. They have given me space on this show on Contact that that show, if we had a functioning system of public broadcasting, that would be on public broadcasting at like 1 a.m. It'd be like this old writer interviewing other writers. Bill Moyers was the last show on public television that dealt with power. That's gone.
Chris, we have a question that is related to your show on RT. Here's the question directly. As an RT host, you must be concerned by the way information is being censored by outlets such as Google and Facebook, who hide and deprioritize alternative sources, and YouTube, who mandate disclaimers on state news and conspiracy theories, but not corporate news and official talking points. To what extent is the fake news hoax being used to delete genuine news? And how far do you think the establishment will go to ban opposing points of view?
Wow, that's a smart question. So that is the key. That's absolutely the key. And I take a lot of crap for being on RT. And my answer is don't watch it. I don't care.
Because the liberals are super mad about the Russiagate issue.
Yeah, because the liberals don't want to confront their own complicity in the reconfiguration of the political and economic system to create a corporate oligarchy and a world of such vast income disparity and power, which the Clinton administration put on steroids. But the idea that Trump is a product of Russian interference is not only ludicrous but dangerous. It's a form of demagoguery. It's the same kind of stuff Trump does, but this time your demagogue becomes Russia and Putin, as opposed to people of color and immigrants and Muslims. And I don't know, he's got such a long list, I can't even begin. I think what happened is neoliberalism just lost credibility. Nobody was buying it anymore. And then the critics became dangerous because there was no counter argument. When I got hit, and I was hit, have been hit tremendously by these algorithms, was after the Washington Post published this, and it was anonymous, prop or not, propaganda or not, and they listed all of the left-wing sites, Black Agenda Report, Counterpunch, Truthdig, etc., where critics like me ran. In fact, they listed the sites that run my stuff. Then Google and Twitter and Facebook, who are all bonded to the security state, hired all these people, a lot of them who came out of the security apparatus, to impose algorithms to steer people away from this content. They created impressions so that it wouldn't come up. They really went after like WikiLeaks and Julian Assange and others. And it's almost the 1-year anniversary since he was hauled out of the embassy, of course. And I'm a strong defender of Julian. And if you look at the Director of National Intelligence report, Clapper's report, I think it was 2017 when he went after RT, it's totally revealing about what they're afraid of. There's not one line in there complaining about Russia propaganda. What they complain about is giving a platform to Black Lives Matter activists, third-party candidates, anti-fracking activists. They totally expose what it is they're trying to shut down. And so, yeah, I'm very worried about what's happened and about how effective it's been at shutting out dissident voices.
I mean, I see an continually increasing danger for journalists and truth tellers in the US, and especially given what is happening to Julian Assange. If he is extradited to the United States and prosecuted, what does that mean for journalists?
Well, it's the death of any independent investigation into the centers of power. I can't be more blunt. It is that ominous. Now, under the Espionage Act, you can prosecute somebody. This is the 1917 act passed by Woodrow Wilson, which was used to go after people who gave classified or secret information to a foreign power. It was used 3 times, I think, against whistleblowers, including Daniel Ellsberg, although he never went to trial. Obama used it 8 or 9 times, including against Snowden. And it is being used, of course, to justify, although I think there's no legal basis for it, the extradition of Julian, who's not an American citizen, for stuff that was published by WikiLeaks, although WikiLeaks is not a US-based news organization. So, I mean, it's really frightening. And then if you follow the trial at Belmarsh, it's just a farce. I mean, the judge is so prejudiced. I mean, this judge is a piece of work, but it's clear that she's directed. I mean, this is, she knows what she has to do. So if he comes back, and I'm afraid there's very little possibility that he won't, unless he dies of the coronavirus in Belmarsh, which is sweeping through the prison. Julian's health is very delicate and precarious, especially after 7 years. He had a little room in the back, and just to harass him, there was like a British police officer standing right outside the window in the building on the floor across from him. And then, of course, he was bugged and filmed, and then in the end, Lenin Moreno really harassed him, turned off his internet. I mean, it was just awful. It was psychological torture, which Niels Melzer, when he visited him, the UN rapporteur on torture, when he visited him in Belmarsh, said this guy's been under psychological torture. But anyway, he comes back. He's convicted. He's charged under the Espionage Act with 17 counts, 10 years. So it's 170 years, and then another 5 years for supposedly hacking into a government computer, which he didn't do, which is why they grabbed Chelsea Manning, put her in jail, because they want her to testify that he did. And she courageously has told the truth, for which high price she's paid, tried to commit suicide once again in jail. And then you create a legal precedent, and anybody who possesses or publishes classified material, and remember, they classify everything, can go to prison. That's what this is about. And I have published classified material on the front page of the New York Times, as has many investigative journalists. So yes, it is an absolutely dark, ominous moment, but it's
Chris,
kind of one more piece of the puzzle of corporate totalitarianism coming together. Well, I mean, the hubris of this, as if the public doesn't have a right to know that Hillary Clinton was talking out of both sides of her mouth, that she and the Clinton campaign were active in terms of making sure Trump was the Republican nominee because they assumed they could crush him, that she was this huge architect of the Libyan war, which was an utter fiasco because she thought it would burnish her presidential credentials. Does the public not have a right to know?
Not that I'm a huge Hillary fan, but I am a fan of gay rights and civil rights and some of the things that I think may have been better under a Clinton presidency, regardless of the fact that the belief of economic, just the neoliberalism part,
all of that
economics is still there.
All of that is true, and but this gets into the whole argument of the least worst voting. I mean, Trump is a product of a failed or decayed system. He's what's vomited up when the system doesn't work.